for. What does the Myles Garrett contract, Bobby Belt, do for Micah Parsons?
Yeah, so Myles Garrett gets this extension done over the weekend after just trashing Cleveland, it felt like, for a month. And ultimately, it was just a leverage play.
4 for 160, 88.8 guaranteed.
Guaranteed at signing. So total guaranteed is $123 million almost.
What's
so
the difference?
So guaranteed at signing basically means this is all you're guaranteed at the time that you signed your contract. They include total guaranteed because that includes, before the second year of the contract, maybe you have on the 5th day of the league year, then your next year's salary guarantees. So it doesn't guarantee at the time you sign it. There are like triggers and escalators along the contract that firm up more of it as you go along. So ultimately, total guaranteed is what you normally see. You normally get to that figure. But guaranteed at signing is all you're promised at the time that you put pen to paper. But he gets a full no trade clause. It's the largest annual value for a non-quarterback in history at signing. So $40 million annually, and this is something that we've heard the Cowboys talk about recently, that hey, there's nothing we see coming down the pike that we wouldn't be able to put our hands around Micah's contract. We feel comfortable about it. And Micah Parsons has, to his credit, I guess, talked about how he doesn't need to be a $40 million a year player, that he doesn't need that much. I think he talked about that actually during Super Bowl, that, hey, I don't need that. As long as I can just have enough money to get a lake house, retire at a lake house somewhere, I'm happy. But then, of course, yesterday, he tweets, LOL, yo, WTF, with a crying, laughing emoji. Because he knows he's in all likelihood about to get paid a significant amount of money. And the question will be now is, did the Cowboys wait too long? Should they have done something about this last year? Should they have done something about it earlier this offseason? Or will Micah be a guy who essentially lives up to what he's said, which is he doesn't need that much money. He's also said he doesn't plan on playing past 30, basically.
Right, which is, coming up.
He's talked about, hey, I want to be able to have some supporting cast. I need some help here. I can't do this all on my own. Let me cut them a little bit of a break here, which historically, I don't know how much the Cowboys have shown a willingness to use whatever margins you give them in negotiations. It's just something that they seem to disperse like they normally would. But Micah Parsons has said consistently, hey, I can do this a different way. I don't have to approach this from the idea of reset the market. So in theory, Mike is telling you the Myles Garrett thing has nothing to do with it. Now, what that means in reality is something completely different. But how much do you even buy what he says there about the idea that he doesn't need to be a $40 million player? He's just content with getting some generational wealth and leaving it at that. And he doesn't have to top anybody.
I'll believe it when I see it. Because the reality is that, when he said I don't need 40, that means I don't need to reset the market. Well, now the market's at 40. So you could get 40 now and not reset the market. The other issue is going to be Trey, TJ, and Hutch. Trey's getting done soon. They have to either sign him or trade him. It's getting done. And then TJ.
Which we were talking to some people while we were in Indy. We all had some conversations about Hutch's deal coming up, and there was a thought that Hutch might wait, is somewhat we heard.
Okay.
Is that he could wait a little bit and see what leaves fall.
Right.
To borrow a Cowboys term.
Listen, Hutchinson's going to be the interesting one because he's coming off a gruesome injury. Like, how does that impact his value going forward? Are the Lions just going to pay him?
Didn't impact Dak. Now, is it different?
I think it's different. It's more athletic position, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it requires, that ankle flexibility and different things like that. So if it's something that you think is hampered or minimized, then, yeah, it might change things a little bit. By the way, we didn't even mention yet today, Max Crosby also got Max Crosby also got his extension done. So he's over $35 million annually now.
I think we said that on Friday.
Is that Friday? Okay.
I think we said that on Friday. Did we not, Peyton?
He's up.
I think so.
He's already up.
Doesn't know.
Max Crosby's at annual value. He's up over 35. That takes him past Bosa. You get Myles Garrett done 40. Like, we're seeing, all right, this is around the realm of where you're going to have to play with Micah Parsons to get this done. You're going to have, a couple $40 million players, $40+ million players, or 35+
Yeah.
when you consider CeeDee Lamb in there.
All right, so now TJ Watt too. What if he gets to 45?
Man, that feels like a big jump. Because I think
We just had a big jump.
yeah, but it was for Garrett, right? So I think
Is
that
TJ not on that level?
I think he's on that level, but I don't think he's enough to jump him like that. I think he would end up around there. Because I feel like everybody pretty much settles around Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, Nick Bosa, Micah Parsons, Max Crosby. Like, those are your 5.
Mm-hmm.
Those are your 5 best edge rushers in the NFL. So the fact that Bosa's deal got done a little bit ago, I don't know that in the same offseason Watt could get something that jumps that significantly. If he waits a year, probably.
But let's just say Watt gets $40 million. Let's say he matches 40.1.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would do, right? Well, I think there's zero chance that Micah comes in at 35 then. If you've got 2 guys at 40, I think that's the number for Micah.
That's the number the PA would put pressure on.
Yeah.
On Micah and his agent to go for. There's a lot of. It doesn't get discussed very much, but when we talk about cutting somebody a deal, like, oh, let's give them a hometown discount, let's do this and that. These players and these agents behind the scenes are under tremendous pressure from the NFL Players Association.
Mm-hmm.
You do not. You can want a discount all you want, or you can feel like you've earned your money all you want. You owe it to the guys coming up behind you to sign for something that's fair. You owe it to them to say, all right, this is the market standard, so that they can go to negotiations and ask for that.
That's the pressure that they put on. Baseball does it all the time. The other sports do it. Football is kind of operated on their own, where they haven't really necessarily operated the same way, where it's always about that. I think a lot of times they have in the contracts, not necessarily when it comes to guaranteed contracts or going on strike. Football players just don't go on strike. They just don't. They're not wired that way because their time is so limited. But this is going to be fascinating what happens with Micah, because the Cowboys, the longer they wait, and they're waiting, but the longer they wait, the worse this thing is going to get. Which
he's currently on the 5th-year option. Micah is, so he's getting right now. His cap number heading into next year is $24 million. That's what he's on the hook for right now.
For 2025.
Yes, he's on the hook for $24 million. If you are able to get a deal done now, let's go off these parameters, Chop. 4 years, $160 million, so $40 a year. You go, I don't know, we'll say he resets the market, eclipses Myles Garrett by a little bit, gets $125 guaranteed. Mm-hmm. So if they were to give him, let's say, a $50 million signing bonus, the way that the NFL breaks up salary contracts or salary cap structure is your cap hit is not just whatever your average annual value is. So for those of you at home who haven't seen it operate this way before, when they say Dak is getting $60 million a year, Dak's cap hit is never 60, or very rarely is even in that area. Same with Micah. If he were to get 40, his number would probably not be 40 any season. If they were to sign him to 4 years, $160 million with a $50 million signing bonus, in theory next year or this year, his cap hit could be about $11 million.
Okay.
So you're talking about you clear up $13 million instantly by just getting an extension done. And in fact, any extension will open up money for the Cowboys because of just how big that figure is for Micah Parsons right now and how much they've committed to that. So an extension, no matter how high it is, if he's making 40, 45, in all likelihood frees up money for you right now. It's just in the future, all the accounting tricks you have to do.
Man, I'll tell you, it's the point. You got to sign him now, man. Either sign him now or trade him for some ones, because the longer you wait, the worse this is going to get. The longer you wait, the worse this is going to get. This is the way it is.
817, NFLPA could care less about lower paid guys. Well, NFLPA cares about minimum salaries for sure, but that's normally a CBA negotiation. What NFLPA does care about is making sure that Micah Parsons doesn't mess up the deal for Aiden Hutchinson, or that a quarterback contract doesn't mess up a deal for CJ Stroud coming up the back. They want to make sure that those guys are being set up to make their money. And look, if you raise the ceiling of contracts, you do raise the floor typically, or you've got a wider gap in there where guys can settle in and make more money.
Yep. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a tough offseason for this team if they don't get this done. It would free some stuff up for them as well. Maybe they can get somebody else. What a novel concept that would be.